Moon Knight ended today. Somehow, in the midst of moving and everything, I've still managed to watch Moon Knight every Wednesday morning. I'm not entirely sure how, but it happened. And I don't know, I'm really excited to talk about this one because this is the first one that I have definitive feelings on. I don't know why, but like all the other shows, for the most part, I'm mixed. But this one, I have an exact feeling, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So, we're talking about the Moon Knight. I don't know if it's season 1 or if it's a limited series. Time will tell, but I'm going to call it season 1. So, here we go. Moon Knight Season 1 was released in 2022. It stars Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, and May Calamawy? I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. But, actually there will be spoilers. I always forget that I do spoilers for shows. Spoilers if you have not seen Moon Knight. There will be some spoilers for pretty much every episode, so finish the show and then come back. But we're talking about Moon Knight, which is a relatively unknown Marvel property, and I was excited to watch it because it seemed more Daredevil, more Punisher style, kind of like street level stuff. Like, that's why I liked Hawkeye so much, was because it took an Avenger that was kind of low key and made him really cool by seeing him interesting on the streets. And this is not what I thought it was going to be, and that doesn't impact my rating. Like, if I go in with expectations that it's going to be a different type of show, and it is a different type of show, then I'm not going to be swayed to rate it positively or negatively in that way. However, in terms of quality, it is about as bad as I thought it was going to be, but for different reasons than I thought. Like the big one, I figured that the CGI would be kind of meh. It's a show. It's not going to be great. It's not quite CW bad, but it's still pretty not good. Like Khonshu looked fine sometimes. Some lighting choices were weird, in my opinion, in terms of how they decided to light the scene. Because they do this like one part where he like appears on a building in the middle of the daytime. It's like, oh, Steven, whatever. And like, I'm just like, why can't, like, he looks white. I can't see him because the lighting choice is so weird. And I don't know, it felt strange. A lot of this felt like somebody who was a big fan of it wrote a show. And for the most part, that's okay. Except for, like, the way that it progresses. The story unfolds the same way that I eat cookies. It's like, I open it, and I eat a couple, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't need to eat anymore. And then I just eat the entire freaking box, right? Like, that's, like, how it works. And that's very much how it feels. Is like the first episode, I was pumped. The first episode was fantastic. Probably my favorite individual episode of any MCU show. Like, the opening of this show is incredible. You only get one half of the story. You know exactly what's going to happen in the second episode, or at least you think you do. And it's really this intriguing, character kind of driven show. Oscar Isaac, I went to my friend after I watched the first episode. I was like, Oscar Isaac's going to win an Oscar for this. He has to. He's freaking phenomenal. And then it proceeds to get worse. Because, like, the first episode is this awesome character-driven show, but, like, you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. And then episode 2, the first thing they do is they reveal everything about what happened and why it happened. And I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, we had a really cool, like, mystery, development, and then all of a sudden, all of it went away. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I would have at least kept the secret for what the hell was going on with, like, him having multiple personalities for at least 3 episodes. Like, I would have pushed this to be an 8-episode series if I had to get at least 3 episodes of the audience going, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, I know Moon Knight has multiple personalities, but also, like, oh, because the way they decided to do it is really cool. They do, like, the like cuts and massive cuts and whatever, and then it shows him later on. I thought that was really brilliant, really, really cool. And then they just kind of stopped doing it until later on in the show when, again, spoiler, Jake is taking over the body a little bit in the last couple episodes, and you're like, whoa, they're doing the thing again. And you're like, okay, well, then we already know what the big twist at the end is, which is that he has 3 personalities. He's got one from Boston. I guess he speaks Spanish, though, so maybe it's not Boston. And that's a huge end credit scene thing, which kind of pissed me off, not gonna lie to you, because we don't know if we're going to see Moon Knight again. Like, Oscar Isaac has said publicly that he's not signed on for more than one project, and he likes this project a lot. And this sets up for at least a season 2, if not maybe a Midnight Suns thing, with Jake being the chosen persona for that team. But all I know is at the beginning of season 2, if there is a season 2, it's going to suck. Because we already have everything, and it's just going to be a repeat of what happens in the first season, where it's going to be like, hey, is there somebody else sharing this body? What the hell's going on? Then they're going to have to come up with a diegetic reason as to why that person exists, because, like, Steven only exists because Mark, had that traumatic experience, and then he created him from, like, posters and stuff, and, like, movies and such, and it's, like, it's a cool diegetic reason, but how are they going to justify Jake? I don't know. But I know it's not going to go over well. Performance-wise, most of them are fine. I think Ethan Hawke is a standout performance-wise, but his villain sucks. Like, this might be one of the worst villains that MCU has put together. The beginning is really cool. Like, the whole show opens up, I believe, with him putting on sandals with glass in it. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna be like a badass. He's gonna, like, do a lot of fighting in this. He does not hit a single person. Like, I'm pretty sure he himself does not hit anyone. And he's like this bringer of justice. And it's like, hush, like, no one cares. He's like, I'm gonna kill people who are going to be bad. And, like, that's a cool concept, but they didn't lean heavily enough into it for me to care. Like, if they really wanted to go that route, they should have really gone that route and focused on the villain a lot more than they did. They didn't give him, like, any screen time because they were so focused on Moon Knight, who has literally 3 characters inside of him. And that makes sense, but also make the show longer if you have to. Give it 8 episodes. Make the first 3 episodes this confusing, character-driven drama about, like, Steven trying to figure out who Mark is, and then intersplice some Ethan Hawke villainry in there. That would have been really cool. But instead they were like, and we're done. I'm like, whoa, that was fast. The episode that blew the most people's minds, not mine, was the one where it ends on the mental hospital. He's like, oh my gosh, Mark, Steven, you're alive, oh my god. And then, like, they see the hippo and they're like, ah! And I was just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. This whole mental hospital thing, it makes sense. And it doesn't surprise me. And, like, it doesn't hit me at all. And I feel like they also went about it in a poor way, which is going to make more audiences happy because they don't want to be, like, explain anything. They just want to watch the show. That's kind of like the generic MCU audience. And I hate to say that, but it's true. They generally don't care about the plot as long as it's cool and fun to watch. And I feel like we're missing something here in the grand scheme of things, right? Like they didn't really explain that was a fake thing. It was, and it's kind of like an afterlife thing for them, but they didn't explain it into great detail because they wanted to get on with the plot. And I am one who was like, explain it to me. I want to know. Like, one really good example of how, like, what did well with this in the MCU was Black Panther. Explaining the whole, like, God, deity, like, afterlife thing with the tree. Brilliant. It worked really well. I understood exactly what that was. Had no problem. This one, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I get it, but also, like, explain it to me. Like, tell me backstory. There's nothing. It's really frustrating. And they're still good. It sounds like I'm dissing the show, and I am, but it's not as bad as I'm probably making it sound. It is entertaining, and Oscar Isaac's always fun. It just has a weak villain, and its episode structure is weird. It should have been a movie or maybe an 8-part limited series, or season 1. I don't even know what they're going to do with this one. But throughout the course of the show, I just found myself getting more and more tired of the characters, and more, like, I just wanted it to end. I'm like, Doctor Strange, I'm seeing that tonight. Like, I just want to go and watch that. I'm not even that excited for that, if I'm being completely honest with you. I might be a little bit more excited for the Avatar trailer. Like, I'm really excited for that. But I don't know. I think that this show is probably at least bottom 2 for me so far. It's very meh. I'm hoping it lasts. Like, I'm hoping, like, in the next couple years, we don't just forget that it happened, but that's kind of where I see this going. I see this being a project that the Marvel Studios does, and it's like, oh yeah, we were supposed to follow up on that character. We didn't do anything. Like, that's what it feels like's gonna happen. I don't know if that's true, but that's just how it feels for me. It's similar to, like, Morbius and how that should happen. That won't, unfortunately, but it should. But I don't know. It's just a mediocre show, and I feel like people are just overinflating it because they wanted more Marvel content, and they finally got it. And it's this kind of easy viewing show that you don't have to think too much about. Like, WandaVision had a lot of really deep character-driven moments that I actually really enjoyed. Same with Hawkeye, and this one just feels like there's none of that. I will say, to its credit, it doesn't mention a single MCU project outside of its own. It could be a complete standalone show. It is the first ever, in fact, standalone show where you don't need to know anything to, like, understand what's going on. In fact, so much so where we don't even know what time period Moon Knight takes place in. I'm assuming this takes place, like, in the 2012-ish era, like maybe even pre that. And then we're going to see a much, you know, much more refined Moon Knight towards the end of his run, wherever he may hopefully joins the Midnight Suns. That'd be really cool. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be great. That would be a direction that I would be happy with them going, but only time will tell. But I don't hate this show, but I certainly don't love it. It's just kind of mediocre. I'm going to go ahead and give Moon Knight Season 1 a B-. Have you guys seen Moon Knight? Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about it. I'm probably going to get bashed for, like, giving it a mediocre score, but it's just how I feel, you know? It's like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to, like, play it up because it's a Marvel project. That's not me, and so that's why I'm giving you the truth, you know? Yeah, I ain't calling you a truther. But I don't know. I like it. I just don't love it, and I'm not going to watch it again. There's no reason for me to. But, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I look forward to hearing from that. Please feel free to like the video if you like the video. Share with your friends. And please consider subscribing. That would help me out a whole lot. So, subscribe, and you can find your next movie at Robert's Reviews.